Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Erica, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Happy Sunday to all of you. I hope you had an amazing Thanksgiving as I did. I hope it was just, a wonderful time with family, friends, or it was just a peaceful time where you were able to sort of get some rest and just try to reflect and chill. I hope you enjoyed that time. Also, happy holidays to everyone. For some of us, this is like the most wonderful time of the year, but I do understand that for some people, it is a very hard season for them. So if you're one of those people who actually struggle during this season, I just want to say that I hope that this just turns out to be one of the best seasons that you've had in a while. I know that it can be very difficult, especially if you're missing a loved one or it's just like a hard time for you. I just hope that you sort of get the peace that you need this time, and then you find something to smile about, and I really sincerely mean that. So happy holidays to all of you. But as always, you know what I'm here to do. I'm here to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is season 10. It was episode 11, and it was called Wanda-Ful Chaos, and I meant to say it that way, not wonderful chaos. Wanda-Ful Chaos. So that means it was titled because it was the return of Miss Wanda. So let's get into it, guys. I have my notes here. I'm going to refer back quite a bit because I don't want to leave anything out. I know some of you watch my video before you even watch the show, so I try to give you as much as I possibly can, just in case you don't really have the time to watch it. You still kind of know what actually went down and how it all went down. But then also too, for people who have actually even watched the video or they've seen the show already, then you can kind of just go along with me, and perhaps you have an opinion. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't, but it's all good. I'm just here to give you and tell you about what I saw, child, just my account of it. So let's get into it. The opening scene was with Latisha and Latisha. Latisha actually came over to Latisha's house, and they were just having maybe like a little fun time. I think that the ladies are actually trying to bond a little bit more. It was said that they really did not have a genuine friendship, and that the ladies really didn't get along, or they really didn't know each other. So I think they're just at this point in time really, really trying to sort of work on getting to know each other. And, we can appreciate that because we don't really want to see just a whole bunch of fake scenes with them. So anyway, Latisha and Latisha, they were cooking, or they were doing something in the kitchen. I think Latisha, it looked more like Latisha was cooking over Latisha. And so they were talking. So Latisha said the house was quiet, and, Latisha said that Ken and the the kids, that they weren't there. And so they were just talking about everything. Latisha was asking how her and Ken were doing, and she said that things were getting better. They're working on their relationship. Latisha said that what she had to learn how to do is, she said they have to learn how to just love each other through all seasons, and that is very important in a relationship, in a marriage. You're going to have your great times, but you're also going to have those bad times. You're going to have those times even when you go through, not only as a couple but as individuals. So you do have to kind of hang in there. If you really feel like it's worth it, you have to hang in there, and you have to give your partner grace. So I think that Latisha really working on herself and going to therapy. I think she's really she's starting to see some things about herself, and she's a little more open to kind of, like I said, just self-reflection. And I think that that's good for her. And so they just, they kind of like just kept talking about that. And Latisha said, that relationships and marriage is hard and stuff like that. So she was saying she was kind of glad that, Latisha is working on herself. And she said that we will probably see a different Latisha even in like the years to come. And that is true. I think I said that in my video. I think we're going to see a huge change in Latisha as time goes on. So, I think Latisha asked Latisha, did she have fun at the party? And Latisha said she did at first, but then it kind of got into the crazy territory. And she was saying that she doesn't really know exactly why Nell is so angry with her. And now that she has the backdrop of why Nell is mad, I think Latisha doesn't understand why Nell is angry about, or angry with her about something that she actually told her. And we all know that Nell is angry with Latisha because Latisha told Destiny about the baby. And, Latisha said, and Latricia even agreed, she said, you would not have known about this baby, had Nell not said anything to you. So Latricia is also doesn't really understand why Nell is sort of holding a grudge against Latisha. Latisha said, Nell just basically came in, she was on 20 and she doesn't even understand why. Well, Latricia kind of said that Nell has some anger issues. And she said Latricia even admitted that she has handled things like Nell in the past. And she says that when you're angry, you say things in the moment and you don't really think. You don't really think, you just react. And oftentimes you even forget about what you said. And so she said that Nell's anger issues are very evident. And even Latricia said that Nell probably needs to seek counseling or therapy or even see Dr. Francis. So that was sort of like the gist of their conversation. Now, during this time that they were talking about Nell, they were also flashing to Nell sort of giving Chris Fletcher, which is her husband, an account of everything that was going on. Nell had a difference of opinion. Nell sort of said that the girls kind of attacked her. It was sort of like a gang up mentality where they were all against her and she was sort of by herself. She talked about Kimmi and she said she did accept Kimmi's apology because it was a public apology, but I think that after Nell probably thought about it, she got a little angry again. So I'm sure we'll see Nell and Kimmi address that issue of them going back and forth once again. We know with these reality shows, it's never one and done. They have to talk about it multiple times. So again, this is something that will come back up again. So I'm not going to be shocked about it, like I said, if they even go as far as to have another argument about it. So then we see Latricia, she goes to Dr. Ken. And, she talked about her progress. She told Dr. Francis. Latricia goes to see Dr. Francis. Dr. Francis is the resident therapist for the Love and Marriage Huntsville cast. We've seen him a number of times talk to all of them. For the most part, talk to all of them at some point. Dr. Ken, Dr. Francis. I don't know why I'm saying Dr. Ken. But there is a therapist, Dr. Ken. I think Dr. Ken has been on like Potomac and maybe Atlanta or something like that. But anyway, especially Potomac. But anyway, Dr. Francis was just asking her how things have been going. She did tell Dr. Francis that she went to visit her parents' grave and that, it was sort of like healing for her. She was able to cry and get some things out. And so Dr. Francis said, well, now we have to move on. See, you're healing that part of you, but now we have to sort of move on to who you are. So I think he sort of wrote on his board, like, who are you now? And so he asked her about her her personal life. And she said that she was married. Of course, she told Dr. Francis the whole thing that, she's now in the process of divorcing Marquez and that she has met someone else. And of course, Ken came into her life. She fell for him, or she sort of, she fell for him. And then she's, they had a relationship and then Ken came in. Of course, the kids took to him. And she actually admitted that she was jealous that the kids started going to Ken instead of her. Now, I could definitely see Xavier doing that because he is a boy. That's her oldest child. He's her son, her only son. But, there's some things that, men can talk to other men about. So I didn't get that part. I was like, okay, that's a little strange that you were jealous of that. But then she was saying that the kids always came to her for everything and she's been there for everything. So to see them sort of shifting to Ken made her feel left out in a way. So Dr. Francis was asking her, he said, and let me tell you what he said. Dr. Francis told her, and let me see what he said she's good at self-protection. He said he likened her to a pistachio. He said, pistachio, he said none of the shells are the same or they don't open the same. Some of them are fairly open, and then, you know, some of them are closed. And he said, you're like a pistachio. You don't open up to people. And he was telling her basically that is one of the things that she has to work on. And he was kind of telling her, like, it's a good thing that you had like someone like Ken to come in and to sort of take that burden off of you. But instead of embracing it and opening up, it more or less shut you down. So he was telling her that again, that is something that she needs to not only address, she's acknowledging it, but she needs to actually work on it. And so he told her, he said it felt like another loss. And she agreed that feeling like now my kids don't come to me was like another loss. And she doesn't do well with loss. So she would rather push everyone away or get everyone away from her so she does not have to experience loss. So again, like I said, Latisha is going through it. I do applaud her. I actually applaud her because she is actually trying to get better. And like I said, she's on a healing journey and we're just going along with her. So some of the things we probably won't even understand, but then again, it's not our journey. Of course, we may have an opinion about it, but again, it is all about Latisha and what she can take from this and what she can sort of learn from this. And I'm just hoping that, like I said, that this will be the best thing for her. Not just for her and Ken and their relationship and for the kids, but for her, because when she becomes a better person, then certainly other relationships in her life will improve. So Latisha, Kimmi, and Destiny, they go to Latisha's hometown of Bessemer, Alabama. Now, Latisha did invite Latisha, but Latisha said that she was taking her son Xavier to Miami for his 18th birthday. So she said that she couldn't go on the trip. So, sidebar, you went to, I mean, my God, these kids, I swear, these kids, they have like the best of both worlds. Like they have so many things. Like when I was 18, I can't remember what I did because I know I was graduating from high school that year. But I mean, my God, I probably had like a little get together or something like that. But to go to Miami, like, these kids, like, they have the best of everything. So shout out to them. And it's nothing wrong. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with giving your children a great life. They do need exposure, but it was just kind of like I was kind of laughing to myself because I was like, going to Miami at 18, oh my God, I can't even imagine what that would have been like. But anyway, but then it was a family trip. So it's not like he was 21 and he was going with his friends. So it was more like a family trip. But like I said, it just made me think back to when I was 18 and what my 18th birthday was like. So anyway, that was just a little side note. I hope I didn't throw you guys off. But what were you guys doing at 18? Like Miami? Yeah, a little get together, a little party, a little something with your friends, but nothing on that level. And if you did have something like that, I would love to know, like, what was that like? Because I know at 18, like, we definitely weren't doing, my mom, my parents divorced, but so my mom was not putting together a trip for us to go to Miami. At that time, she was like, my parents were more concerned about where I was going to college. And that was basically it. They were like, it was, look, fill out those college applications and let's go. So anyway, so like I said, the ladies, they were on the bus. Latisha, she, rented a bus for them and they headed to Bessemer, Alabama. I've never heard of it. I've heard of Mobile, Huntsville. Alabama is not a place that I have really visited or been there. It's just sort of like a pass through if I was actually on a road trip, but nowhere. I don't have any family there, or not that I know of. I don't know anyone in Alabama, so I'm definitely not familiar with Bessemer, Alabama, but that's where Latisha is from and that's where they went. So again, Miss Wanda has a food truck. We know in previous seasons, Miss Wanda has been talking about her food truck forever. This is something she's always wanted to do, and it looks like it has come to pass. It's up and running, and they were going to surprise her and sort of order food and just hang out with her. Now, let me just say this. I met Miss Wanda here. Carlos King had an event here in DC. It wasn't this year, it was last year for Mother's Day. And my mom and I, we went to the event and we met Miss Wanda, And Miss Wanda actually sat right behind me. And Miss Wanda was so cool, very down to earth, very sweet. Like, we talked, we took pictures, we even we were I think we even had videos like we were dancing because they had a DJ there. It was a really, really nice event. I think Carlos King at that time, he had the Love and Marriage DC panel, and Miss Wanda was there because she has friends here. There's also a YouTuber by the name of Marcella Speaks. That's who she came with. Hi, Marcella. Shout out to Marcella because I met her that day too. And that's who Miss Wanda was with. And Miss Wanda was so cool. I'm telling y'all, she was so cool. So what you see is what you get on the show. Now, of course, Miss Wanda was not there. She was not loud. She was not going off on anyone. But she was just, like I said, very, very down to earth. And so when I met her, so now when I see her on the show, I kind of laugh at some of the things she says because that personality and what I'm seeing on the show, that is who she is. Now, when you see her, she can be a little reserved, but like I said, once she kind of warms up a little bit, like, yeah, you know, she'll get in her groove. So, shout out to Miss Wanda. But like I said, they went to the food truck, they ordered the food, and I think they all ordered something. And of course, Miss Wanda and Kimmi were kind of going back and forth about how Kimmi wanted her steak cooked. But that's just Miss Wanda. You know, Miss Wanda and Kimmi, they have always kind of, you know, went back and forth just a little bit. And Latisha does look like Miss Wanda. So it's always good to see, you know, Miss Wanda and Latisha together because that is, you know, her mom after all. So they were just talking about, like I said, oh, let me go back a little bit on the bus before they got there because I don't ever want to leave anything out, guys. So they talked about game night. They did talk about that. And I'm leaving out so much because I'm trying to get there. But game night, they talked about game night on the bus. Kimmi talked about what sort of did it for her. Kimmi said that when Nell said that they were all ganging up on her, Kimmi said that kind of like pushed her over the edge because she said, I was the one who like went to Nell and said, let's talk, you know, let's have this conversation. You know, she said, and Destiny said you were really pushing her. You even pulled her to the side. You know, you were very patient with her. So they kind of talked about that. They also even talked about Destiny and her dating. They asked how did it come about that she came with Will as her date. She said that Will reached out to her. She said that Will is a really nice guy. And she said she's going to be working with Twan also because he's going to be showing her how to box. Destiny is going to be in some sort of movie and it's some type of boxing role, or she has to do that and train for the movie. So, of course, Twan is going to be helping her with that. What I did like that Destiny did, she did address it and said, my perspective on dating is the fact that I feel like you should date as much as you can until you find what you want. She said, but that does not mean that I am sleeping with everyone or being intimate with everyone. And you know, I was glad that Destiny cleared that up because we know in this group and on this show, they can take something and run with it forever. And I think I mentioned on my previous reviews, I said this can turn into something because Destiny has talked to Lance, Twan, and now she's going out with Will or just dating Will or hanging out with him. It could really become an issue for this group as far as the women talking about it as well as the men. And I don't want Destiny to have a label. I really want Destiny to just kind of date outside of this group, you know, just date somebody altogether different, you know, and date as many men as you want to away from the show. But when you start dating the men on the show, like I said, I think it can become a little sticky, and I don't really want that for her because I know how they can kind of turn things, you know, on, you know, them, and that's what I don't want for Destiny. So anyway, I was glad she cleared that up. They kind of laughed about it. And Destiny, even Tisha and Kimmi were laughing because they said, well, obviously, you know, you weren't doing anything with Lance. That's what made Lance go out here and have a baby because you weren't giving him any. So they had a good laugh about that. But then Now we're back in Bessemer. And like I said, I didn't want to leave that part out, guys. So I hope you just don't, mind that I backtracked a little bit. But anyway, now they're with Miss Wanda and they get their food and they're sitting down eating. And so, of course, Tisha's happy to see her mom. And when Tisha is with her mom, Tisha goes into little girl mode. You can tell her mom is her protector. You can tell her mom has always been there for her. You can tell her mom has fought many battles for her. So Tisha was sort of talking about Nell. She was telling her mom about Nell and the comments, that had been made. And Destiny even said on the bus that Nell and Tisha's issues are the fact that they have gone back and forth and things have been said about each other's husbands. And so Latisha said actually that Nell sort of started that, because Tisha said, to be honest, I'm tired of talking about the issues with my husband. Tisha's actually over it. So when she was talking to Miss Wanda was sitting at the table with them as they were eating their food, Wanda was saying, that old lady, she's coming at you. And Tisha said, well, I was taught to respect my elders and I don't want to go back and forth with her. So she said, maybe you should have a conversation. So Kimmi and Destiny, they were eating their food. And at one point they looked at each other and then they just kept looking down. Like they were really like looking down because they knew that it was going to go out of control, or they know if this happens and if it occurs, it's going to take it to another level. So both of them were kind of like, not only in their confessionals, but even sitting at the table, I think both of them sort of disagreed with it. Latisha told them what happened. Latisha said basically, Destiny, sort of revealed to her, what happened. And so Miss Wanda said, oh, so you're the bone carrier. So Destiny was like, no. You could tell Destiny was getting a little riled up. She was a little upset. So Wanda was like, no, it was you, because you were the one that said something to my daughter. Now, Latisha was sitting back, like I said, little, proudly, and she didn't really care about it because, again, her mom has always been her protector. So she was kind of glad that Wanda was sort of confronting Destiny. So of course, Miss Wanda being Miss Wanda said, look, I'm going to talk to her. So we already know that Miss Wanda said, I'm coming to Huntsville. And when I get there, I'm going to have a word with Miss Nell. Okay. So, hey, it is what it is. So, of course, Miss Wanda went in. So Miss Wanda said, well, I want to talk to you guys because I really want to know how you guys really feel about what was said. And we know that Nell, at the beginning of the season, they break the season up in two parts. But at the beginning of the season, Nell asked the ladies how they felt about what the lady on the video, or, of course, there was a woman who said that she slept with both Maurice and Marceau. She was given, graphic details. And so Miss Wanda wanted to know how they felt about it. So Tisha said, well, Tisha had already said she doesn't ever have to worry about another woman. Okay, that's fine if Tisha feels that way, if that's what she's telling herself every day, cool. But Miss Wanda feels otherwise. Miss Wanda said, listen, you don't have to take everything that a woman says to be the gospel, but Miss Wanda said you do have to take it into consideration. And she said, that's why I'm not with my husband today, because there were some things that occurred and he couldn't answer for it. And because he couldn't answer for it, I don't want to be with him. And so Miss Wanda not only said that to Tisha, but then she also addressed Kimmi. And so she was saying, well, Kimmi, how do you feel about it? And Kimmi said, there's nothing to feel about it because I don't believe it. And so Miss Wanda said, if a man cannot give you a straight answer, then there's something to it. And that's just what happened. Miss Wanda was basically telling the ladies that, hey, there is an issue, and I'm going to get more to that about what her and Kimmi sort of got into. So we'll skip just a little bit. Ken and Latisha, they went out on a date. They were talking about her they just went out on like a little lunch date, and they were talking about her session with Dr. Francis. He was asking her how it was going. He told her he was very proud of her. They both said that they want their relationship to work. Ken also apologized about the fact that, hey, he said some things and he's done some things in his frustration, but he said it doesn't change the fact that he really wants to be there for her. And she says she wants the same thing. She told Ken that she wants him in her life, and that she's willing to work or do the work in order for them to get in a much, much better place. And so I really genuinely believe that Ken and Latisha will work things out. And in the process, Kim may need to talk to someone too, just to sort of do so, just like as an added bonus, and hopefully he will come to a session as well. But again, they seem to be in a really, really good place. So, like I said, let's get back. So not Nell. Wanda asked Kimmi, and I have it right here. She asked Kimmi how she felt about the live. Kimmi says she doesn't feel any kind of way. Wanda said she thinks that Kimmi is avoiding it. She says that basically Kimmi is in denial about Maurice. Kimmi, you can tell Kimmi was very angry. She did not want to disrespect Miss Wanda, but at the same time, Kimmi wanted to tell Wanda, mind your business. And Wanda was sort of putting pressure on her. Like, she was sort of turning up the heat and saying, hey, it's more to it than you just saying it doesn't matter to you. You don't believe her. You can't see Maurice dealing with this kind of woman. There's no possible way. Wanda wanted to tell Kimmi, you're a fool. That's basically what she wanted to say. She didn't say it, but she said it in so many ways. I mean, Miss Wanda has been vocal. She's even had private conversations with Marcel about how she felt. And I think she's saying Kimmi is definitely turning on a blind eye to what Maurice is doing. So we know, like I said, all of this is going to come to a blow. All of this, when Miss Wanda comes to Huntsville, the conversation with Nell, and perhaps even just bringing up the whole thing with what even Maurice was accused of doing, it is going to come to a head. Like I said, Wanda said, if a man doesn't come with a straight answer, then he did it. And that was the end of the episode. So tell me what you think, guys. It was a pretty good episode. Like I said, Kimmi doesn't owe us anything, but she does. And I think just saying that I don't believe it, it doesn't help if you're not really talking about it, because we know a lot of my viewers, you may be women, and we know as women, we want answers, and we are like detail people. So yeah, if something is out of sight, out of mind for the most part, yeah, you don't really have to address it, but it doesn't mean that just because you're not vocalizing it doesn't mean that it's not in here. And Kimmi holds a lot of stuff in, and she's very stoic, and she doesn't show a lot of emotion. And we know that Kimmi is sort of like I guess you would say the emotionally mature one on the show, but I think that Kimmi does need to have a conversation with Maurice, and I think that we're going to actually see something this season. So hold on, guys, and hang in there with me. Let me know what you think. Please like and subscribe to my channel. And also, let me know what you thought of this episode. How do you feel about it? Like I said, to me, I'm seeing a little bit online that people aren't really into the show as much as they used to be. I think they're a little tired of it. I know that there were a lot of Mel fans, and because Mel is no longer on the show, perhaps a lot of people aren't tuning in. And I think people are also tired of the whole rigmarole of, the men cheating, but the women being in denial. So let me know what you think. How did you feel about Miss Wanda's return? Also, what did you think about Latisha? How do you feel about this transformation with Latisha? Do you think it will last? Do you really think that her and Ken will be able to get married at some point? Do you think she's really going to go through with the divorce with Marquez? And is she really going to marry Ken? And what do you think also even about Nell? How do you feel about Nell? There are a lot of people who who really support Nell and they really see Nell's side in this. So do you think Latisha and Kimmi and the rest of the ladies are wrong about how Nell is being treated in the group? And also, how do you feel about Destiny and Latisha? Because I'm kind of seeing where they may have a little divide. Destiny and Latisha had gotten close at one point, but I'm starting to see that maybe, you know, Destiny's kind of in the middle and she's kind of riding in the middle, but I don't know, at some point she's going to have to choose a side. So whose side do you think she'll choose? Is she going to choose Latisha's side, or is she going to choose Nell's side? Let me know. I know it's not everybody's thing to comment. Shout out to LTV Productions. He always leaves me a comment whenever he watches my reviews. I really appreciate it. We don't always agree, but I love him just the same because he always just leaves me a comment, and I love even watching his videos, and I always leave him a comment as well. So like I said, if you want to leave me a comment, cool. If you don't, I really just appreciate you watching and hanging there with me, guys. If you like Married to Medicine, Married to Medicine is returning tonight, Sunday on Bravo at 9 p.m. This is one of my favorite reality shows, so I will be reviewing that. So if you want to check me out, I will have a review for you for Married to Medicine for their season premiere. So hang in there with me, guys. Like I said, have a great week, and I will see you soon. See you next time. Bye.